And welcome back to Backspace Academy. In this lecture on Elastic File Service, I'll start by explaining what EFS is and the advantages and disadvantages of EFS. And then I'll talk about mount targets and how we use those to communicate from our subnets through to the Elastic file system. And also talk about how we can access our file system from the EC2 Linux operating system, and then I'll finally talk about the security features of EFS. So EFS, it's a simple, scalable file storage for use with Amazon EC2 instances. It's network attached storage as opposed to EBS, which is attaching a block device storage to an EC2 instance. And it can be accessed by multiple EC2 instances at the same time, as opposed to block device storage such as EBS and Instant Store. So where it fits in with the storage options that are available for EC2 there, it is a file system that is accessed through the network, as opposed to object storage with S3 and Glacier, and block device storage, where we're attaching a block device to our EC2 instance, which is what we do with EBS and Instant Store. So the advantage of EFS is it's a fully managed service. The file system grows and shrinks automatically, and it can grow to petabytes in size. So very big, or it can go to as small as you want it. You only pay for the storage space that you use, and there is no minimum fee. The throughput, it scales automatically depending on demand. So it scales to ensure you have consistent low latency, and it can support thousands of connections. And it also has multiple availability zone replication of your data. So there's some fantastic advantages of EFS. The disadvantages of EFS, it's not available in all regions like with most new services with AWS, but that is expanding all the time, and it won't be too long before EFS is available in all regions. It doesn't have cross-region capability, but of course neither does EBS. It's a little bit more complicated to provision compared to S3 and EBS. So for us to access the EFS share after it's been created, we need a mount target located in a subnet, in the subnet that our EC2 instance has been launched in. So that mount target is a VPC NFS endpoint, in a similar way that we have endpoints for Amazon S3 that allow us to communicate from our VPC out to a service within AWS outside of our VPC. The mount target will have an IP address and a DNS name, and you can use that with the Linux mount command, but it's not recommended to do that. It's better to use the DNS name for the actual EFS share rather than the DNS name for the mount target, but you can use either, and it can be mounted to multiple EC2 instances at the same time. So you can see there on that diagram on the left, we've got two EC2 instances within availability zone there, US West 2A, that are both mounted to the same mount target, which is then connected through to the EFS share. And also the mount targets can be in a different subnet to the instance, but they cannot be in a different availability zone. So you see on the right hand side there of that diagram, we've got a EC2 instance in a subnet, which has a mount target from another subnet that is mounted to it. So that's quite possible to do that. But you couldn't have an EC2 instance in one availability zone mounting a mount target from another availability zone. That's not possible to do. So the ways that we can access our file system from EC2, now that first of all requires an NFS client to be installed on our EC2 instance. Now that is standard on the current Linux distributions, and if you're using the Amazon Linux AMI, it will come pre-installed on that, so you don't need to worry about that. You mount the file system using a Linux mount command, similar to what you would do with EBS or Instant Store, but you use the domain name for the EFS share. And the file system DNS name or the mount point DNS name can be used to mount the EFS share on EC2, but it is recommended to use a file system DNS name, and it's much easier to do that. There are a number of security features of EFS that you can use. Obviously, we have IAM permissions to create, update and delete, which we can set up on a user or group basis. We also have EC2 security groups that can be set as inbound rules for EFS, and also vice versa. We can have security group rules for EFS as inbound for EC2 as well. We can use network access control lists to further control traffic. And we also have Linux Unix file root only permissions by default, and we change those file permissions using chown or chmod commands within Linux, as we would do with any other Linux file server. So that's it for now. The best way to learn about EFS is to get your hands on and use it, which is what we'll do in the next lecture.